Hello, and welcome to the Gunner Heat PC developer stream for October 2022. Man, that goes fast.
Yeah.
It's really cool to see everybody back here again. We do this every 2 months, usually the first week of the month, and it's a good way to see how progress is going, do a little Q&A, catch up with the community, all that good stuff. So, the big news. Sees no Kavi in the background, leaves. Yeah, I don't blame you. He's really the linchpin that holds the whole thing together.
Fair.
He is with us on mic though. Hopefully
Hello.
you can hear him in the background. Uh,
Probably.
yes, he is gaining power. He will come back at some point.
Yep.
So,
Just like I'm not even gonna go there. Continue.
okay, I don't know where you were going, and it's very dangerous. Um, the big news since last time we talked, we are now out on Steam in early access. That is a huge
Yay.
milestone, the biggest one in the project's history. It is obviously not the end. It's not even near the end, but it is the end of the beginning. I think I read that in a book somewhere. So, what that means for us is we have all of a sudden a huge amount more exposure, which has been really great. A lot more feedback, which has been okay, and more more eyes on the project is always nice. More people get to play it and experience it, but a lot of pressure for us too. So we're continuing to do the work and get things where they need to go. And on that note, we have our roadmap, which we have shown several times, but always good to review it again. So let's very quickly go over where we're at and where we're going. I've also fixed my streaming setup since last time. Whoop, apparently I haven't. That is not what I wanted to do. I fixed it
We'll
so good I forgot to fix the fix from last time.
someone clip that later so I can bring it up
No,
again in
just
2 months.
don't. Um, all right, let's try this again. If I am sampling desktop, we're very professional outfit here. We have
Oh yeah.
everything rehearsed ahead of time. Never, never
Every
breaks,
two
never goes
months,
bad.
this runs like a well-oiled machine.
Yep.
While you're fiddling, someone in the chat, I had no idea about this game prior to it being on Steam. It was an insta buy for me. Thank you so much for your support.
Yeah, we really do appreciate that. It's definitely understandable if people don't want to buy into the game in early access. Early access is what it is. It's, obviously a lot of those projects go well and some don't. Um, Waiting and seeing is a perfectly valid way to go. But for those who do buy in now, you directly make possible what we do with the game. So it's definitely nice when people make that jump.
Apparently, I sound quiet.
Let me turn desktop up a bit. Try now.
Try now.
All right, you guys in the chat will have to let me know if that's any better. Pretty sure he's at a similar level. Okay. If I'm not mistaken. Nope, that's still not right.
We have a release date for multiplayer. Oh boy, when it's done.
Yeah, so how we approach release dates is we don't give any dates for anything until it's pretty much a sure thing. The reason for that is we don't want to lie to you. So we might have internally a pretty good idea of when something's coming out, but there are always things that you can't predict. If we have to take a moment to fix something that broke that wasn't expected, or something comes up and we have to pivot quickly, it's better if we hadn't made any premature promises at that point, because then you guys aren't left hanging. We don't have to look like assholes. It's kind of a win-win. So just wait and see. We'll announce things as they come, and no surprises. Why does the MBT tier no longer get testing? By testing, do you mean the Patreon demo? Because in that case, there is no more demo on itch. The game is only on Steam at this point. It's possible that we'll bring a demo back at some point, but we are in early access. It's a new phase for the project, and right now patrons just get increased access to the devs. They get early teasers of stuff, and you get more the higher your tier is. There are actually development streams that we do sometimes now for the highest tier, the cast tier. By the way, if my voice sounds a little rough, I just came off of being sick, so apologies for that.
I tried to assassinate him, and he shrugged it off, because he is that much of a Chad.
Well, let's not overstate here.
But to add on to what you just said, yeah, we do these development streams. We want to have more in the future to respect what patrons are helping us out with. And if people buy the game now in early access, they're getting still the full development stream of how things are going. As we are adding features and testing things out, that is what is helping us right now.
All right. I don't know how to change this on the fly without showing it, so I just had to do it that way. There we go.
There we go.
Roadmap. So, by the way, all this nonsense is because I plugged in my cables wrong when I built my computer again. This is a ridiculous amount of work for one mistake. Okay, so here's the roadmap. Some of you have already seen this. I hope most of you have seen it. If not, then we need to do a better job putting it out there somewhere. This is roughly chronological, so it's about the order it'll happen, but we can move stuff around. We can jump back and forth. Basic campaign stuff. We're nearly done with this. We need to do a little bit of revision on how campaign works, make it more coherent. Then it is what it is. Fire support, we have a little bit of this already. You have the ability to call basic fire missions, artillery. We have air support coming. Some patrons have seen teasers regarding air support. It's pretty cool stuff. I'm excited for that because we're going to have some iconic planes and some also maybe less hyped but still very cool ones. Infantry is going to be a real big one. This is going to change the dynamic of the gameplay probably more than any other thing on this list, especially because infantry squads in this era always had anti-tank with them. From the light anti-tank stuff, laws, RPGs, all the way to deployed Malyuka missiles and dragons, stuff like that. So you can see in the picture there's a dragon being set up. This is going to make navigation on the battlefield a lot more dicey. It's going to provide more for machine guns and heat rounds and HE to do. Things like the M113 and the BRDM will be much more important. Big change. And then Soviets. A lot of people might wonder, aren't Soviets already in the game? They are not. Right now we have East Germany. They are operating under the Warsaw Pact umbrella, but they are not Soviets proper. This is actual USSR forces coming. They'll have different vehicles, better equipment overall, and of course the Russian crew voices will come. Detailed crew. This is going to be, your dudes will be able to go unbutton and button up. They will be visible and shootable when they're unbuttoned. Your camera perspectives will change depending on where your crew are positioned, and there will be a bit better distinction between crew roles. So right now you kind of always play as the gunner, but you have some commander abilities as well. It's sort of murky. We'll have a slightly better control scheme for that when this happens. Bundeswehr, West Germany. This will include leopards. I know a lot of people are excited about that, as well as their infantry, their voices. And as a counterpart to this, it's not on the roadmap, but East German voices will come by this time as well. A lot of people ask, like, why isn't this thing on the roadmap? We can't fit everything on the roadmap. These are just kind of the big advancements as we see them, but there are things happening constantly in between. Like, we didn't put Jiggle physics antennas on the roadmap, right? But it still happened. It just came out in this release. So you can kind of you can fill in some of the blanks here if you look at the pictures carefully. For example, there's no roadmap item that says helicopters, tank hunters patrol the battlefield, but you can see a hind in number 8, so you can connect the dots. Number 7, enhanced destruction, new VFX, damage to vehicles visualized, vegetation destruction, important. A lot of people have noticed you can't run over trees. It's a bit of an oof. Running down trees is a lot of fun in most tank games, and we have the ability to do it. We just have not done it yet, so it's planned. And then expanded campaign. This is where it'll really start getting fleshed out. I'm excited for this because some of these mechanics that we're planning, including ones that are not listed here, will give the game a lot more of kind of an RPG management kind of side. Don't want to get into too much detail. You'll see when it comes. It's going to be cool. And then multiplayer. It's probably the most hype out of everything on the list. Saving it for last because it's going to continue to have complications, I'm sure, in development. But when it gets there, it'll be awesome. So, there you go. There's the quick overview of what's coming. I want to take care of it right away because usually when we do these, people will ask questions throughout the stream that are covered by the roadmap. Yeah, let's just get it out of the way immediately. So, before I start up the game and do some more talking, do we have any good questions from the chat?
When infantry are introduced, will they be able to do callouts on enemy contacts?
It's very likely. We have a suite of voice recordings that have not been implemented yet, and among those are contact reports. So that'll be other units on the battlefield. I don't see why we couldn't do infantry for among those units.
Mm-hmm. Will there be modding support?
Modding support's a tricky one. The hidden side of modding support is that developers have to do a lot of work behind the scenes to make a game support mods. We don't have time to do that work right now. And once we do have time to do that work, it's still something we'd have to weigh against other opportunities. We're a small team, so it's not really free for us to do anything, and especially something as complicated as mod support. There's no way to say yes or no in the future. There is a way to say no right now. So yeah, that's just, don't expect it anytime soon is the answer.
Good. I said no in the chat, but I wanted you to basically follow that up.
It makes more sense when you explain why it's no, because people tend to assume that we're like we don't understand, right? That we don't know how good mods are or why people would want mods. No, we're gamers. We understand. I probably have more modded content in some of my games than actual base game content.
Oh, so many mods.
Yeah.
You have stretched the content of some of those games out into thousands of hours.
Yeah, we understand mods, but when you actually have to make the tools to let the players put mods in the game, it's a much different situation.
Yeah. Even with underlying engines that do support that stuff, it's a change in focus, and right now we have some bigger fish to fry, so to speak.
Yeah. I saw somebody ask, is that a real Sabot round behind you? Yeah, don't tell anybody. This came off of an armory truck on the freeway. And I wouldn't want them to know where it went. Depleted uranium and pretty controlled.
Oh my god.
Yeah, no, it's I promise it's plastic. In fact, let's see if I can show. I've never shown this on the stream before.
Oh my god. He always likes to throw around his Sabot round.
Yep. The team's like, please no, and I'm like, I'm gonna show you my dart. All right, so this is it's a 3D printed replica by makersteve on eBay, and you can actually take the pedals off, and there is a full-scale dart in the inside. It's ribbed for the tanks, and then yes, it's got the fins. It's pretty sizable. It's got a gap in the back for the tracer, and I think he makes 105 options. So if you have a brass or steel case or whatever, you can get the Sabot just by itself and make a M900 or something out of it. So that's very cool, I think.
The round does not vibrate.
It's definitely one of my favorite props.
Get your mind out of the gutter. What's the other item that you have next to the round?
That is a bazooka practice round.
Good job, Mako Mace, in the comments.
I think it is probably Korean War era or maybe World War II surplus. I haven't actually checked. That's been in the family for a bit, and I acquired it. So, anyway. Enough about that. Let's get on to... I should put it back. Looks better. We'll get on to the gameplay after that.
Thank you to everyone just joining, just following. I've seen a lot of first-time chats in the stream. That's very cool to see.
Yep.
Will we see Challenger tanks eventually? Yes.
Well,
no?
we haven't announced any theaters with the UK in them, but...
Oh, right. I'm sorry. I mix up Challenger and Leopard, and we have Leopard in the Grafenvor range. My bad.
Yeah, so the deal is we have not announced where we're going after we do the Full the Gap 1985 theater, which is going to have US, USSR, East Germany, West Germany. The UK wasn't stationed in that specific area, CENTAG operations. So if we wanted to expand north or do some other conflict where they would show up, then sure, you would probably get Challenger. We can't promise it right now, but obviously we know that people want to play the UK. So...
Everyone's saying like, "Oh, Kavi leaked. That's a potential leak." Nah, guys, I'm a normie of this team, very much so. I regularly talk with these guys and say, "What's the BMP doing here?" And they're like, "That's the BRDM, Kavi. Shut the fuck up." God damn it.
We don't say "shut the fuck up."
They say everything else.
We meet up. We meet up first. Okay, I think it's time for some gameplay while we continue. Will there be a campaign builder in the future? Custom mission design stuff is on the table, but we're not sure exactly what depth it'll go into, so stay tuned for more about that. Obviously, we know that people want to be able to make their own scenarios, their own campaigns, whatever. We'll just have to see how much we can develop for that, because every tool that you have is something we'll have to make by hand, you know. We have to balance that against actually finishing the game too. All right.
Early on, at some point in development, someone in the team was like, "We should just give everyone Unity editors, and then they can make their own scenarios for the game." And I shot that down as like a no. No one wants to download or deal with all the dev dependencies to do mods or add content to the game. We'll need to make well-rounded tools for anyone who wants to do that, and that's why it's just not the focus right now.
Yeah. Well, let's start off with Kestrel.
I'm a real big fan of claustrophobia.
Claustrophobia is wild. It's if you like the Bradley so much, hold off a company advance in the Bradley.
Yeah, if you can.
Big change from this past update is jiggle physics on the luggage. I know everybody was waiting for it. It's the most striking feature, you know, game changer. I don't know, it's kind of cool.
Will there be city maps or urban environments, more urban environments in the future?
It's hard to say.
Mm-hmm.
Right now we have our chosen terrain, which is the fields of Germany. And if we want to get into the cities of Germany or somewhere else, then we'll do that at some point.
Yeah, our setting right now is the Full the Gap. That is kind of where the potential, you know, light off that we've set up is happening.
Yeah.
Will we get mud effects? Mud would be nice. That doesn't actually answer your question, but mud would be nice.
A lot of people have asked, like, will there be terrain deformation? By which I think they mean, like, deep mud ruts and stuff. We had that. Some patrons will remember back in the day that existed in a demo in, I want to say, May 2021. It was cool, but a lot of people found it caused performance issues. I think I need to turn my game sound down a little bit. Maybe. Let me know if it's too loud or too quiet compared to the talking. Anyway, the ruts, we got rid of them because of the performance problems, but there is probably a way to bring them back if we fix that. So we'll have to see.
Someone with a question, will the Leopard 1, Sheridan Mouse, or other variations of vehicles in the future? We do not give specifics on release of certain vehicles. If you go into the Grafenvor range in the game, you can see some vehicles that are actively in progress in kind of like a plinth on display. That's about all we're saying for right now.
Yeah.
Just because I said mouse doesn't mean it's confirmed. What the hell?
Guys, the best way to play GHPC is with keyboard and mouse.
Oh my god. Will
take that as you will.
salute, okay. Will gun salute be a thing on tanks in which it is a thing? Would be so cool to see. I think I was reading another comment about that, like gun salute being like you need to put the gun in a specific position for like reloads.
Yeah, they usually do it automatically. That is something that's planned. It just requires a bit of code changing to do, and we're saving it for when we do some other fire control system stuff. It sometimes makes sense to group changes together so you don't have to revise something twice or whatever.
Let's see, I'm running into the past chat to see if I can find some questions. Is repair vehicles and supply trucks for ammo planned in the future?
If you're talking about like rolling out into the battle that's been going on to repair a tank instantly, then no. There's not going to be any repairs in missions. Even something like tracks would take a long time to repair in real life, and most GHPC missions don't go that long.
Yeah, I mean, we got shit to do.
Someone said, any future graphics and overlay interaction from mission planning on map? To answer your question, I don't know why map was shouted, but we are going to make some changes to the way the map works, more controls, possibly intel stuff, but we will get into that as more information is available.
Will there be improvements to friendly AI? There will be improvements to all AI.
Yeah, AI is in the middle of a bit of an overhaul right now. It won't be the last iteration, but it'll fix a lot of stuff. That's been ongoing, but it's a big task, so we assigned someone to it, and they've been plugging away at it.
Yeah, I look forward to vetting a bit more of that. Bought it today. Wait, thank you, by the way. Waiting for German tanks like the Martyr to be included. Please use the real engine sound of it. It is a special one.
Give us a recording.
Yeah. In all the legal ways that you can do so, get us some reference. We're very open to getting reference for a lot of these things that we make. Early on in development, for anyone new, to the game, early on, we were getting a lot of public, like declassified open reference to a lot of the vehicles that we've made. That helped us get the amount of realism that we have right now.
Yeah, none of this stuff comes for free. It's hard to find a lot of it. And then even if we do find it, sometimes we just can't access it. Like, there might be a vehicle that we want to 3D scan for a model, and it's in a museum, and the museum doesn't let people do scans for games, and then, like, at that point, there's not much we can do. If we want to get audio of a certain vehicle, we can look at videos on YouTube or whatever, but the sound quality on those is pretty bad most of the time. So it's still a matter of synthesizing something that kind of fits. And a lot of times we'll make something, and then someone who drove that vehicle will come by and be like, oh, the sound is really bad. It doesn't sound like that at all. Well, we tried. You know, if you want to want us to make better sound, give us a recording. Don't just sit there and complain about it. We don't know what we don't know.
Yeah. Overpressure is simulated in the game. It does not show up on AAR.
Not yet.
Not yet. Here's a two-for question, and I wanted to get it out of the way. VR and interior modeling of tanks. Go for it.
VR. Interesting. Well, let's talk about interiors first, because then VR will make more sense.
Yeah.
The trick about interiors is, right now, the way GHPC works, you're not doing anything in an interior. You're either navigating or using your optics. If you're spending time in an interior, like looking at switches or whatnot, you're probably getting killed. So the interior would at that point be a cosmetic thing. It would be like just so you could sit in the interior and go, ooh, I'm in the tank. And that's not really, that's not a great value add from our perspective. We'd have to spend a lot of man hours to model that, just for that one moment that you move on from to play the game. So not really a priority or something we're maybe ever doing. VR then is going to be very tricky without interiors, not to mention the performance impact and the fact that we would have to make an entire physical interaction scheme to play the game in VR, unless it was just a perspective and you continue using keyboard mouse. But either way, both of those tasks require a lot of work for not a lot of payoff, especially with a game that's this young, has this many features left to make. So right now they're completely off the table, both of them. I hope that's a sufficient explanation for why we say no to interiors in VR. So it's not just like, oh, they don't understand how good VR is. I've got my index. I enjoy the hell out of some VR. It's just it's too much work for not enough.
Yep. It's a sufficient answer that we will say again and again and again. Because it just keeps coming up, and that's fine. We can be okay with that.
We should, I was going to say we should have an FAQ, but we do have an FAQ. It's just,
But, let the modders do the interiors. Yeah, if I want some Japanese anime girl room inside of a M1 IP tank, yeah.
The modders. We love the modders.
So much.
Let's see.
Will driver's view be a thing?
It's possible. It depends when we do the crew position overhaul. If that seems like a good idea at the time or not. Like a lot of this stuff we've thought of because I mean this is our job. We spend a lot of time thinking about what we can do about the game. So we know that it's possible to make, certain views or whatever. A lot of it we just have to try and see if it works before we say yes or no. So, yeah, we'll look into it. Couldn't tell you.
Hello to you, Blitz War 12. First time chat, just jumping in.
I think that normalized just slightly.
I will not meow at other people chatting. That does not give the right for me to mimic that.
Someone asked, how does the penetration calculator work? Well, how much time do you have?
Jeez, no, we don't have enough time for that.
Okay.
It's one of the most impressive pieces of engineering that Josh, I believe, did the majority, if not all of. Correct?
That was all mine.
Yeah, and that's from the days you've added to it from the early days of the project, when this was called Josh's Unnamed Tank Game.
That's right. Real OGs will remember.
Yeah, it's a lot.
I read a lot of papers. Let's just summarize it that way.
Yeah. Girls in Panzer game mode when? Never. Nah, I'm working on that. It's okay.
Ooh. Look at that. Look at that spicy rubber skirt movement.
I saw that. So someone pointed out that when you shift the camera a lot, or in AAR, some of those items do jiggle a bit
Yeah,
more
I
than
tried to fix
expected.
that before the release, but the fix was with another thing that didn't work. You remember that?
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so that never made it in. So we get AAR jiggles temporarily for this patch. So enjoy
Yeah.
it, enjoy it while it lasts. Because once that other fix is fixed, it's probably going away.
Yeah, the funniest one is when you've got an antenna and you go over to a tank with an antenna, it just starts flopping around
Yeah.
radically.
Mm-hmm. Someone asked, "Will Russian voice lines have subtitles?" Yeah, all of them will have subtitles eventually. Um, we just
Hmm.
haven't added that captioning system yet.
Subtitles and localization to
Yeah.
more than a few different languages
Yep,
is planned.
because we recognize that even if we were not localizing the game, which we will, but even if we weren't, the majority of our audience isn't going to understand Russian. So if your commander is yelling at you, you don't want to be in a situation where the only word you understand is suka. Or so
Mm,
yeah, it's more functional if you have subtitles on all the time.
I know enough Russian. I've played Stalker.
Hmm.
Headlights do already turn on for someone who asked that. Let's see. Easy, learn the languages. Oh god.
Hmm. I've considered learning Russian so I can read source documents better.
Yeah, but will you?
Cupolas will rotate. That's probably going to be part of the crew overhaul. Is commander optics are planned, and for commander optics to work, they rotate. A lot of them are actually in the cupola. The T-72, T-55, the M1 as well. I think they all have some kind of optical thing in the cupola that the commander will rotate around. In fact, I think the M1 you can use the 50 cal from entirely buttoned up, which will be cool.
Someone asked a while ago, have we had, I'm going to paraphrase their question, but have we had like people reach out to us and offer pro bono work for things like voice acting, physics, programming? And they have, but our standard for what we would accept for any of this kind of thing has grown a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And for the most part, while we might have used a pro bono thing in the past for a prototype, now we're very much like, no, we can pay people. We want, it takes money to
Well,
survive, but also we have these reasons of skill that we need first.
so I want to clarify though, voice work is probably the one where that'll still work the best out
Mm,
of all of them. Programming and art and stuff like that, we're looking for professionals at this point because you know we can pay people and we want a certain standard. But voice work, there's a lot of amateur voice actors who are very talented and able to do the job and just don't have much experience yet. If you reach out to us in audition and we like your audition, then we might pick you. There's a lot of
mm.
people who have auditioned already and haven't heard back. That's mainly because we haven't selected yet. We're still revising the German script and the Russian script. We're getting close to being able to do all that stuff though, so that may be changing soon.
Hello. Great game. Keep up the good work, everyone. Thank you, Sergeant Jim. How intense will air support be? If this is Cold War gone hot scenario, tactical nuclear weapons are realistic to have, right?
I wouldn't count on seeing nukes. I don't think that's in the plan right now.
Yeah.
There's
Both,
some
go ahead.
there's something that the Discord likes to bring up, which is that at some point I revealed that there's a few lines of code for radiation damage in the human damage model, and a lot of people take that as proof that there will be nukes eventually. That is not the case. That's just something in case of future proofing. There still might not be anything that uses it.
Yeah. For the moment, everyone wants to keep the Fulda gap that they're fighting over. They just don't want a crater. there be a tutorial. There will be more help related to the tanks that we have, the vehicles, and how to use them. We've introduced some tooltips to assist players, new players, with what they're kind of supposed to do as they're driving, as they're aiming, when to fire, when to dump lead, which is an important one. But right now we have gunnery guides on our main site, but that's a lot to ask for people to say, like, oh, I don't know how to use this tank. Read the manual, you know? So we want to have a better integrated tutorial system into the game as we go towards like a 1.0 and beyond.
Yeah.
How smart is Cass going to be?
Cass is going to have the ability to target acquire independently, but they will use the information you give them when you call them in. So if you say, hey, go over here, there's a target here, and there's no target there, but there's a target somewhere else, they're going to be focused on trying to find the target you called them for, and they might miss the other one. But if you cover an area that has targets in it, and those targets are visible, they're not hiding behind the trees or whatever, the pilots will pick them up and will do their best to kill them.
When are map data going to be added to the menu mission selection? Wouldn't you be able to just port the map from an in mission to the splash screen to improvise so it's not blank?
There's a bit more to it than that, but it is planned.
Yep. What's coming next to the game? Giant pumpkins that will fire cannons at you. But it would be cool for Halloween. Are you dying a lot? I'm not actually watching your gameplay. Sorry. I'm looking at the chat.
How are you looking at the chat without watching the gameplay?
The right side of my screen.
Oh, jeez. Talk about tunnel vision.
You're doing fine, though, right?
Oh yeah, of course. It's the Padme meme.
How does one defeat the giant cheese of death? I don't know what you're talking about. Like, that's a wild thing to say, to come into this stream and just be like, that.
See, you asked about the cheese and I got blown up. Look at what you did.
Wow. What a jerk. Pig significant.
I don't remember this mission being this hard the first time I played it. I'm having whatever the opposite of beginner's luck is.
Josh's luck?
It's just a skill issue. I'm sure. Maybe if I go echelon left, it'll help. Anyway, someone asked about the cheese. First of all, most people don't know about the cheese, so good job on that. Secondly, after you get destroyed by the cheese, you will have plenty of time to look around in AAR view and see what's there and what might be usable. Just do that. The answer might occur to you.
Yep. Free cam does work in AAR. WTF is he talking about? Huh? If you've been in the Discord server enough, you would know. I want to say. Where's Bob? Is he safe? Is he alright? I don't know of any Bob.
Bob is the only one that can survive the cheese.
Theoretically.
If anybody wants to try to find the cheese, just play the old Proving Ground map. Not Grafenvor, but the other one called Proving Grounds. Look for anything unusual. You might get on a path.
Josh, why is this mission so hard? Also, Josh stares at enemies without firing.
I was trying to swap to my coax and range it. Shut up.
Do you guys have any past military experience? We do
Yeah, I
not.
have many hours in Battlefield.
Nope. Nope.
Battlefield 2.
Real military experience. We do not.
You could say I'm basically Special Forces.
Oh my god.
I've dolphin dived with G36E so many times.
Jesus.
Yeah, no military experience for me. We do have an ex-military guy on the team. He's the one that makes most of the missions, actually.
Mm-hmm. He has given us a lot of information effectively as to how platoons would work out, how, tactics would go, certain doctrinal elements. Aside from that, and aside from, this isn't military experience, but you do have some professional experience with simulation development. But that's about it.
Oh yeah, we're very experienced developers, we're just not soldiers.
Yeah.
We ask questions of a lot of soldiers to get the gaps.
What is the map we can look for the cheese in? Like we said, Proving Grounds.
Yeah.
Go there, have a ball.
I think a lot of first-time players actually miss that you can switch maps at all.
Oh, yeah. More than likely.
Wonder if we should make the tank range the first map, so then they're like, how do I actually play missions? And then
We've also considered adding like a practice button, like in the main menu when you first start the game, just to load up the Grafenvor range.
That'd probably be cool too. There's a lot we can do. There's only so much time.
Totally. Can I ask if there are any resource for frame rate optimization? I'm running lists, a pretty awesome system, and barely making 65 FPS even on the lowest fidelity range settings at native resolution. Well, right now the game is not as optimized as we want it. This latest release, we did get huge memory savings, and hopefully that's helping a lot of people with crash issues that they were having through the month of September. But there is still a lot of way we can go with optimization in this game.
Yeah, if you want some concrete things you can do to try to raise the frame rate, turn off motion blur. Textures don't matter that much, but try putting your LODs to a low number, your vegetation distance, and then anything you can do to get your CPU boosted, like running the game in high performance mode or high priority in the task manager. That can get you some extra processor cycles. That usually helps. As long as your graphics card isn't super weak, you're probably CPU bottlenecked.
They've got a pretty good setup. i7 9700K, 32 gig RAM, RTX 2080.
Yeah, if they have an RTX 2080, they're probably CPU bottlenecked, even with the good CPU. So
really?
just do whatever you can to make sure it has as much power going to it as you can give it in priority.
Or Cheetah Blood onto the CPU. That'll make it faster.
Yeah.
Let's see. Any plans to integrate Steam Workshop? See our answer to mods in general.
Yeah. Steam Workshop is just mods with extra work.
It is kind of a nice one-stop shop, though, for a lot of that content.
Oh, it's very nice from a player
Nexus
perspective.
Mods. Yeah. Maybe add a button for gunner manuals. If you go to the main menu, there is a help button, which will take you actually to gunner manuals.
Yep. We should add a button that says, please read this button.
Steam Deck optimization advice. So we don't do development specific. Look at it wobble there. Sorry, the antenna was jiggling. We don't do development actively on the Steam Deck system. Not because we couldn't get one, but because we're actively focused on Windows right now and desktop. But from what I've heard, the game does run acceptable on the Steam Deck because Valve has done some real magic with their emulation pipeline. But there is some issues with controls. So as we do development on the Windows side of things, I can only hope that those optimizations will port over to the Steam Deck, but Right, like I said, it's not an actively developed system. Can we get anime camos on our tanks?
Every time somebody asks about anime, we ban a weeb from the Discord server.
And I'd like you guys to stop because I'm a weeb.
Yeah, eventually you'll be the only one left.
Yeah. It'll be very annoying. Blake, we can't have you on anymore. Someone asked about anime again.
Somebody asked again about mod tools. Rewind the VOD to like 20% and then you'll see the answer.
I mean, it would be very cool. Like, people talking about mods in the server sometimes get very jazzed at what they could do. Usually the conversation ends up with like, oh, I want my old-ass German World War II tank fighting these new tanks and stuff like that. And it's just like, yeah, that would be neat. But neat, unfortunately, doesn't drive our development process.
I mean, if we were just going on like whether the mods are neat or not, I would probably also say no, just because I think most of the mod ideas are shit. But that's not the reason. That's not the reason we're not doing it.
Yeah.
But it doesn't help. Come on, guys. Like, be more creative.
All right. Everyone pay attention to this mission because it is phenomenal.
It's going to be noisy and chaotic is what I'm expecting.
Can we have all the actions as UI buttons so we don't have to memorize all the hotkeys? Oh boy, you would hate that.
We usually get people asking for the opposite.
Yeah.
This just goes to show that the devs are always gonna mess it up. Let's see. Oh, that's gonna be a tow situation.
How long does it take, on average, to model a new tank like the T-62 and the T-64? Also, is there an ETA for them? We don't give out ETAs for what we model or what we're working on, but in general, it really depends on the reference that you have to a particular vehicle. The reference, like a photogrammetry scan of a real tank or multiple pictures, all of that helps our artists actually put those together.
Yeah, it'll take the artists dozens of hours per vehicle, as far as I know, and then it'll take a programmer the additional time to actually implement a bunch of systems on it. It's not a quick process. There's those vehicles in the Grafenvor range. Most of them are drivable and somewhat operational, but they need some more hookup before they're actually ready. And that's time we have not put into them yet.
Is it just me, or is the gain on the Nightmare Vision a bit different than it used to be? I'm guessing that means these red thermals.
Yeah.
I don't know. Looks the same to me. Did you repel them?
I did. You thought I was gonna fail live and you'd be able to be like classic Josh.
Yeah. Why you gotta rob me of my fun? Are we doing a Q&A in 7 minutes? We are doing a Q&A in 7
Oh yeah,
minutes.
for those who don't... Okay, that artillery is loud. I'm going back in the vehicle.
Thank you for that as a segue. Go ahead, Josh.
Yes. The thing that we do every month, including on every 2 months after stream, is we do a Patreon Q&A that is hosted on Discord. And if you are a Patreon subscriber, you get the automatic role in the server. You can access that stage and you can ask questions. It's a lot more interactive than the Twitch chat, because on Twitch chat we often miss messages or we have to pick and choose who to answer. In the patron Q&A, you get to directly ask your question and we answer you. And then beyond that, there are, like I said, occasional dev streams for high tier patrons. So that's another little benefit in case you feel like you've got some disposable income and you want to make use of that.
It does help, even though we are on Steam, and we are thankfully getting more and more eyes on the project. Game development is expensive, wildly.
Yes, it
For a
is.
small team like us, all of that helps.
In fact, technically, we haven't got any money from Steam yet, because
Yeah.
they pay out at the end of the next month after you get sales. So we launched in September. We get paid out end of October. That's we're still subsisting on savings and Patreon until end of October, which is wild considering we did pretty okay for launch. But anyway,
Will you be crowdsourcing some manuals to be translated, German or Russian ones?
manuals of what
Eh.
type?
I assume of the tanks themselves, or doctrine, or whatever.
That sounds like a lot of effort for
Yeah,
something external to the game.
right.
We source a lot of manuals ourselves to make
Mhm.
the tanks, but we don't see fit to release those because
Yeah.
anybody could find them themselves if they wanted to, and it's not really directly related to the game.
Selling anime camos for tanks can bring in a lot of money. Yeah, but at what cost?
Yeah, it doesn't
At
really
what
fit
cost?
the ethos of the project. I mean,
Yeah.
if we wanted to make money, we would make the game would be free to play and there'd be premiums. I mean, you've seen this done before, right? You know it would work, but that's that's why we're making our own game and not just playing one of those.
Right.
We don't like that system. We think it's bad for I don't know, not to shit on other people's stuff. Like whatever they have their own thing. They make it their way. We want a game that has different priorities, and we're making it. So it's what it is.
Hmm. Oh man, 4 minutes left in the stream.
Oh yeah, what are we gonna do with 4 minutes?
You don't like snails, I get it. Fine with snails. I think snails make a pretty good product for who's interested in that product.
Look, my experience with snails, it caused me to generate a lot of salt, and then I ended up making GHPCs. And you know what salt does to snails, right? Anyway, campaign got some cool expansions, by the way. I know it's still a very basic thing. It's just a string of semi-randomized missions, but they're all labeled now, so you can tell more easily what layout you're getting. And there's like, what was it, 10 more of them in this update. A lot of them are actually really cool. They're I haven't played all of them yet, but they're a lot more interesting than the previous batch. And we removed the ones that are all glitchy. Like,
yeah, I was just about to say.
the ones where the tanks would spawn upside down and stuff would get lost on the way to the battlefield, and you'd sit there in defense for 20 minutes and no one would show up. Yeah, those are all gone now. That was an experiment with letting the game like arrange each mission completely dynamically and then let them all navigate themselves. It was a bit too ambitious. It needed more control. So we've blown it away for now.
We found that going this route with the campaign, we'll be able to get more content out to you guys more quickly and not spend a ton of time in development hell.
Yeah. Alright. Do we have any last minute stuff to talk about? Let's see. This is where I would usually plug the Patreon, and obviously if you support us, we still appreciate you. It's no longer a situation where the only way to play the most up-to-date version of the game is on Patreon, because the demo is not in existence anymore. It's not a Patreon benefit, it's just everything is Steam. So being a Patreon supporter gives you earlier teasers of stuff. You gives you a more direct line to us. It gets you into the Q&A sessions, which we're having one in a minute. And yeah, that's always appreciated. Otherwise, the best way to support the project is to buy it on Steam and spread the word. Because everything that we get, we use it immediately. And it's a small team trying to do a big project, so everything helps.
Please pass us your feedback. Reviews of the game are gold. That really helps us in Steam in general, and we'd love to hear your thoughts.
Yep. That is right. Okay. I think that's going to be it for this stream. Maybe we'll have some teasers of upcoming stuff for the patrons, as we usually do, but for now we're going to wrap it up. And thank you to everyone for coming out today. We will see you next time.
Bye-bye.